Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now.
Finally, I get to talk to a woman whose name I keep hearing, Teenie Award show after Teenie Award show after Teenie Award show. Quite honestly, the woman that I hear thanked the most, Ruth Pincus, is speaking with me right now. First of all, hello, thank you.
Hi, thank you. You're very kind.
No, I needed to speak with you like maybe 2 years ago. But the teachers all say the same thing, that you're incredible, but it's what I hear from the kids, that you transform lives through your direction and your passion of theater. Tell me, first of all, a little bit about your background. Let's hear who the real woman, Ruth Pincus, is.
Ruthie Pincus is. Well, I came to teaching later in life. I pounded pavements myself. I was in the city. I did a fair amount of musical theater. I did commercial work. I did all sorts of, I did a little bit of professional here and there. I did some TV. My husband moved me out to Long Island, and when I left the city, I thought I would never live again. Oh my God! Theater is over. I thought that was the end of it all, and I wanted to pull the blankets over my head. And I started directing high school musicals, and I realized that I really loved it, and I was really affecting lives, and really being able to take charge of something that I had and impart, things to kids and making a difference. So they came to me. In fact, I started an ISLIP, and they came to me and they said, you're doing such a great job. We would start a theater program here if you would go back to school and get your education degree. And I had my bachelor's in theater. I went back to school. I got my education piece. I started a small 2 classes in ISLIP during the day. And then I began choreographing at Hauppauge, and then an opening happened in Hauppauge 15 years ago.
Well, tell me about the creative process. Why is it that so many kids say that you transform lives? It's going beyond the directing aspect of it. Where does that come into play?
Here's the story. I think we started about 15 years ago at Hauppauge doing human rights presentations. And what I mean is it was Black History Month. And we had to acknowledge, human rights and things like that. And the more the kids talked about what was important to them and the way people treated one another and respect and tolerance and celebrating diversity and things like that, the more the classroom would just open up and kids would start talking about things that really meant something to them. And we began writing that.
So you're using theater as a tool to express oneself.
It's theater as a social voice. So what we do is now, and we do it throughout the year, we write things on bullying, we write things on test-taking anxiety, we write all sorts of things that really mean something to the kids.
Vignettes that tell a social tale, that hit a button that resonates with people.
Right, and what we did is we started touring to the middle school with bullying workshops. Then we started going to the elementary schools with test-taking anxieties, particularly now that they have all these tests that they're taking and they've never had to bubble in Scantrons before as second graders. But my kids have been writing things that make them feel better, comedies and things like that, little vignettes.
And how does that transcend to more typical productions like Phantom of the Opera or Guys and Dolls? How do you impart, and some of these musicals and shows were written decades ago, eons ago, when there was a different social reflection of the times. Absolutely.
Every story we tell is about people and humans. So what we're learning in the classroom, whether it's about now or whether it's about, the 1890s or whether it's about Oedipus, it's all people. It's all real communication. It's all about really who we are. And the more we learn about ourselves, the better we are as artists and actors. And I think that's, that's what I love. When you see a student's eyes just open up, when they feel like they're invited to the grown-up table because they're talking about things that are really important to them.
They're talking about things that are important to them, and they're being listened to.
Right.
People actually are paying attention.
Exactly. People are actually paying attention. It's really, The work of that work is so, you see, it's exciting. It's
Your face is glowing right now, so I'm seeing it in you. What's next for Ruth Pincus?
well.
Besides summer vacation.
We have created, last year I was sitting in my backyard and I came up with this idea that we could have a conference called Stage the Change, Theater as a Social Voice, which would reach out to all the schools on Long Island, and now we're going into the metropolitan area. So literally furiously through the summer I became crazy with this and I started calling theaters in the city. So I called the Tectonic Theater Company, Laramie Project, and I wrote Moises Kaufman out of the blue, and they responded. And so this past November we had our very first conference called Stage the Change, Theater as a Social Voice at the Tillis Center. It was bigger than Hauppauge. And now next year, you won't believe this. This is really cool.
Okay, you're going to let us in on something now, okay? Big secret. Okay, here we go.
Okay, this year at Stage the Change, we had over 300 people last year. This year, I went to see a play called Mothers and Sons on Broadway, which is nominated, right? I was so moved by that I wrote to Tom Curtahay, one of the producers, and Terrence McNally. And next year, Terrence McNally is coming to Stage the Change, Theater as a Social Voice.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't that hot stuff?
That's amazing. Now, how can people follow what's happening? How can they get in touch with you if they want to make a donation or if they'd like to volunteer their time and help out in some aspect of this?
Awesome question. Thank you. Well, first of all, they can contact my website at Hauppauge High School because Hauppauge is sponsoring and presenting it. And we also have a website, www.stagethechange.org.
Wonderful. So it's like the sky's the limit for you.
It's, you know what? You know how you're on a journey and you just don't know where. You said that tonight. You just don't know where it's going. And all of a sudden, within the past, couple of years, it's all just, it's meant to be. This is what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, Ruth Pincus, if you're any indication of what you're doing with the kids and still creating and still thinking of innovative ways to reach the general public, I would say that the one thing that you mentioned is that we're all human. We have that human element, and that's how we all relate, as cliche as that may be.
Thank you
so much for speaking
thank
with
you.
me. We wish you continued success, and I know I'm going to be hearing your name on the lips of future teeny winners and nominees for the next 10 years to come, but we wish you incredible success, and I hope to have a nice long chat with you about future endeavors at some point.
Super. Absolutely.